Today's video where we're going to show you how you can customize your webchat widget even further by using custom CSS. And if you're familiar with CSS, you can basically use that to customize the webchat widget towards your own liking. So if we go towards the display style, then go towards custom CSS, you can see everything is basically still blank there. But if I'm going to fill this with some pre-CSS, you will see the widget changing as well. So on the website itself, you can see basically this specific feature. And if I enable some custom CSS, let's see how this changes, right? So if I'm going to drop in some custom CSS, let's see how things are changing. So let's do that, apply the changes, and let's take a look on the front end. So here we go. And now you will see if the widget loads, here we go. And now you can see some changes being made. For example, you will have the heading in bold and a little bit of a larger font size. You will see that the replies instantly has returned towards a smaller font size. You will see that this divider with the dates in between have been reduced font size wise. We adjusted the boxes, as you can see here. And we also adjusted the type your message input box, right? And as you can see, we have a little bit of a box shadow around the specific input box. So this has been done with custom CSS. So if we enlarge this, you will see that I used just a few lines, nothing too special. I think the only thing that is special is this bounce effect for the widget bubble, right? If we take a look at my website, the bubble itself, you'll see it bouncing after 5 seconds. So here it goes, up and down. And that is that bouncing effect that I have inside the custom CSS. So if you're familiar with CSS, this is the perfect way to customize everything towards your own liking. If we're taking a look at the CSS selectors, we prepared a sheet for you. And as you can see here, if we target the CSS selector MR-1, then it targets the heading text on top beside the logo. So that means that it targets this specific section here, right? So if we go back inside the CSS, custom CSS selection. So if we take a look here, you will see that we have this .mr-1, and then we have the font size that we changed and the font weight. So if we want to see a clear result, let's change this towards 25 pixels, which is pretty big, especially with such a large heading title, right? So if we're going with refreshing the page, you will notice that once the widget has been loaded, you will see that this is now huge, right? So the font size of 25 pixels has been accepted, and now you will see it much more clearly. Now, if we take a look at the other one, so the message content. So if we take a look at the CSS selector overview, you will see that the message content targets the text in conversation bubbles. So at the moment, it is set to 15 pixels. So let me also change this to 25, apply the changes. And let's take a look at what exactly this targets, right? So if we're going to refresh the page, then you will notice as soon as the widget loads that the font size on the bot side of things has been adjusted, as you can see here. So that is something that you can adjust according towards your own liking. Let me reduce this back towards 15 again, because I think that's more than sufficient. And let's also do that with the heading. There we go. If we're going to take a look at the bot widget bubble, so basically it will be this bubble on the bottom right corner. So this one I also enabled the bounce effect on, right? So the bot widget bubble targets the bubble showing up at the bottom corner of the website. Then we also have the text XS, and this targets the specific replies instantly section, right? So if we go back towards the custom CSS, so at this moment, the font size is set to 10 pixels, and we also needed to add the exclamation mark important towards this specific section. Otherwise, the default CSS will not be overridden with this custom CSS. So sometimes if you do not see any results, it is good to add the exclamation mark and then important to it before closing it off, right? So if we're going to increase this to 25 pixels, apply the changes, and if we are going to refresh the page, then you will see that the replies instantly now is much bigger, as you can see here. So that is something that you can adjust as well. Let me just reduce it towards 10 pixels again. It's more than enough for me. If we go towards the next section, the custom chat header targets the background section of the heading, right? So the custom chat header, I don't know if I have a custom chat header inside here. Don't believe I have. But if we are going to adjust this, we're just going with the selector itself. So let's just copy this. There we go. Let's add a dot, then the CSS selector, open with a curly bracket, and now we can do some stuff with it. As you can see, we now changed the background of the heading. The only thing that I needed to add was the background dash color, because otherwise it's not stated which kind of color, right? Now that we have changed the background color, you can see that the text itself is a little bit too dark, right? So that is something that you can do with custom CSS as well. We already have the custom selector here. So let's just add something like color. Whoops. Let's go inside and let's say we're going to add color, and the color will be white. Now let's see if we apply the changes, if this actually targets the specific section, right? So if we're going to refresh, let's see if we already get the white color. And now you will see that the text has been turned white. And you can just go on and try to customize everything. I will just remove the specific sections. So I will just remove this one for now. And also the custom chat header, because we don't need that to be messed up. If we're going to take a look at the text slate 700, this targets the divider line in between with the date that shows, right? So if we're going to take a look, then it will target this specific section. So if I'm going to adjust that, as you can see here, I have a font size of 13 pixels. But if I'm going to add, for example, 15 pixels, apply the changes, or well, let's say we're going with 20 to clearly see the difference, right? Let's just refresh the page and let's see how it looks like right now. As you can see, these are much bigger now, and it's actually fitting more properly between the divided lines. But as you can see, you can adjust that as well. If we go with the agent, then you will see that it targets the reply box from the chatbot and live chat agent side of the conversation. So if we want to target the agent side of the bubbles, right, the chat bubbles, we can do so with the custom CSS as well. Currently, the background color has been set to white, but for example, we could also say this needs to be, well, let's say lime green. And if we want to also change the text inside this agent bubble, then this CSS selector is the message content. So if we're going to scroll up, then we will have message content here. Let's say we are going with the color and then let's say white, and let's apply the changes to see if the changes have taken effect. As you can see, now we have the white text. We can also change this border radius if we wanted to, but that is all something that you can do with custom CSS. We also have the chat message -- input, and this targets the box section where you type your message. So that means that we have this specific section that we can target, right? In the CSS itself, if we're going to take a look, then I adjusted the border radius to 20 pixels instead of the regular 5 pixels. So if I revert this back, let's say 5 pixels, apply the changes, then you will see that the rounded corners are now much more less rounded and more rectangular, as you can see here. So this is the way that you can select that and customize it towards your own liking. So if you have any questions, do let us know. We think using the custom CSS with the provided CSS selectors, as you can see here, will provide you with the means on even customizing this web chat widget to match your branding even more. If you have any questions, do let us know. We'll try to help you out as soon as possible. But for now, take care and we'll talk to you really, really soon.